let's get the Forest side of things, shall we? And let's go to Rob Dorsett, who is at the City Ground, as you can see. Very good morning to you, Rob. It was a very bold statement from Nottingham Forest after this match. Why have they taken this step?
Well, I think bold statement is an understatement, let's be honest. It was unprecedented. It was a staggering statement for a Premier League club to come out with so quickly after a Premier League match, because they not only said that they thought the PGMOL had made some significant mistakes, but they also called into question the integrity of Stuart Atwell, the VAR. And that is a very significant and serious step to take from Nottingham Forest Football Club, because it suggests that there is potentially a level of corruption there. They have yet to hear from the PGMOL in terms of a response, but we will get a response from PGMOL, I'm absolutely sure, at some point. Let's just tell you exactly what Nottingham Forest said in this statement. It's been seen more than 50 million times now, which I think gives you every indication of how unusual it is. 3 extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we simply cannot accept, it says. We warned the PGMOL that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. NFFC will now consider its options. Now, what does it mean by considering its options? I think that's really interesting. Could they take legal action against the PGMOL here? Well, we don't know, and there's been no further statement, no further comment from Nottingham Forest. My understanding is that all of the big bosses in the City Ground behind me are discussing what they will do in terms of their next move. In the meantime, the FA have told us that they are investigating those comments made by Nottingham Forest. I fully expect charges to follow for Nottingham Forest from the FA, but that's quite a complex one. What exact rule have they breached? Has an individual who drafted that statement breached some of the rules and potentially brought the game into disrepute? Or is it the club that has made this statement and they need to be held to account? As I speak to you right now, I understand the FA Disciplinary Committee are meeting to discuss this matter and consider whether or not to charge Nottingham Forest. So, yes, you've talked an awful lot about the 3 incidents. Football fans are talking a lot about those 3 incidents. Dermot's perspective on it is absolutely fascinating. In terms of the fallout from the football authorities to what Nottingham Forest had to say in their statement as a result of those 3 incidents, we've got an awful lot more to hear from that.
Yeah. OK, just remind us again, because part of the statement was involved in the appointment of the VAR of this. How did the PGMOL go about making these appointments?
Well, I've had to clarify that this morning, and it's not a straightforward process. It's quite complex. It's a complex discussion that Howard Webb has with other PGMOL officials before every single match round, when they allocate which match officials are going to be allocated to which matches. At the start of each season, every single official, whether they're a referee, an assistant referee, a 4th official, whatever role they play, has to fill in what is called an allegiance form, where they disclose which team they support, and also if they have any other close affiliations to other clubs as well. But this is done in terms of strict geography. So let me give you an example. If a referee said on their allegiance form that they're a Birmingham City fan, they should not be allowed to referee any Aston Villa matches, but they would potentially be allowed to referee West Bromwich Albion matches. Clearly a rivalry between West Bromwich Albion and Birmingham, but not a close enough rivalry, not the first rivalry, not the primary rivalry to mean that they're not able to referee those matches. It's not explicit that Stuart Atwell, who Nottingham Forest have accused of being a Luton fan, we don't know whether that's the case or not, it's not explicit in those criteria that a Luton fan cannot be involved in refereeing a Nottingham Forest and Everton game just because Luton are involved in a relegation battle with them. It's a common sense decision that's sometimes taken to try and avoid that, but the reality is there simply aren't enough officials in the pool for the PGMOL to make sure that all of those nuances are absolutely dealt with. They have to allocate 6 match officials to each match. There are 10 matches in the Premier League each week, typically. So that's 60 match officials that they have to allocate each week. And they only have a pool of elite officials that's about 80. That's not a finite number, because Some are promoted, some are given training and development opportunities from the Championship. But typically they have a pool of 80 and there are 60 officials they have to allocate each week. So let me tell you the exact criteria that is used. Firstly, the team they support. I've explained that one to you. Secondly, their performance. How well did they do in the last game? If they perform badly, we've heard very often, haven't we, that an official might be rested for the following week, not allocated a game, or given a less high-profile role, perhaps as a fourth official. When was the last time that official was involved in a match involving one of those two teams? It's not supposed to happen where an official will be involved in covering the same team 2 weeks running. The PGMOL, I understand, try and get a month between those matches to try and, again, reduce any sort of bad feeling that might have been hung over from the previous game. There is an element of picking the best person for the job, so perhaps the best VAR officials will be picked for the higher profile matches. And in actual fact, Stuart Atwell has a fantastic reputation as a VAR official, which is part of the reason he was given such an important role for such an important game yesterday. But this process is all further complicated by the fact that the PGMOL has to allocate officials for the Championship as well. And imagine there was a big game in the Championship. Imagine it was Ipswich against Leicester at the top of the Championship. They might put some of the more Premier League elite officials on that game because it's so important, so high profile. So none of this is an exact science, but you get an idea of just how complex the criteria is when the PGMOL sits down each week to try and allocate the officials to specific matches.
Yeah, and what's perhaps key as well in this is the role of Mark Clattenburg. There was plenty of shots of him yesterday in the stands. What is his role? His
role is a former head of referees and a referee advisor to Nottingham Forest. Gary Neville was very outspoken when this appointment was made and said, why are football clubs now considering they need a referee consultant? He's there to advise the board. Marinakis, Evangelos Marinakis, the Nottingham Forest owner, likes having Clattenburg there that he can discuss these matters with, so that he gets what he believes is an objective opinion on when or if Nottingham Forest have been given hard justice. So my understanding is that Clattenburg did speak to Howard Webb in the run-up to this game, a few days before the match, not when the allocation list of officials was first put out, and expressed some concern that Stuart Atwell, as Forest claim, a Luton fan, was involved as the lead VAR for this match. I think he was given pretty short shrift, and certainly no appointments were changed. And I think the authorities would say, look, what are we after here? What are we asking for? Are we going to have, in effect, jury selection before every single Premier League game where the clubs can have a veto and decide which match officials they want and which match officials they don't? The PGMOL, the Premier League, the EFL will absolutely not accept that. They have to be independent. They want to be independent of football clubs. They distance themselves from football clubs. And so even though Mark Clattenburg has this important role at Forest as a referee's advisor, how much influence he has within the PGMOL, I think that's a different question.